What's up YouTube? This is going to be our guide on how to use Gliscor and Gligar in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I'll be providing competitive movesets and some fun me movesets too. If there's a Pokemon you'd like to see me cover, put it below in the comment section of the video. And if you enjoy these videos, if they help you out, drop a like on the video if you want to support the series, and let's get into it. So let's start with Gliscor here and then we'll move to Gligar. Now Gliscor actually lost a very good move but gained a very good move too, so I'm going to be going through them in today's video. So Gliscor has always had a very nice defensive stat and a respectable speed and attack stat. So this always makes it being a nice sword dance sweeper. So let's start off with that. Now the abilities Gliscor has got here is Poison Heal. Generally its most common and used ability, very handy. We've also got Hyper Cutter, preventing those stat drops there on the attack, and we've got Sand Veil as well, a little bit more gimmicky for like sand style teams. I'm going to do movesets around all of these abilities too and give some examples and stuff like that. So the first set we want to have a look at here is Gliscor being a Sword Dance sweeper. Obviously we're going to be having Sword Dance here and Earthquake. Its main sort of two staple moves. Now, since we're running Poison Heal as the ability, we want Toxic Orb as the item. So with Poison Heal, we're going to be healing, getting 1/8 of the maximum health, healed every single turn, and we're not going to lose any health. So it's going to be very good, and a perfect move to put with that is Facade. So it's a normal type move, 70 base power, and that is going to be double, since I'm poisoned, which is going to be great. Now, the other move I got on here is Knockoff. Knockoff is more of a coverage move on Gliscor. I quite like having it in case there's a Pokemon that, say, for example, has Levitate and resist Facade. Or, for example, a Pokemon that has Levitate and is a ghost. You know what I mean? Something along... any sort of situational thing like that, I like to have Knockoff there as a coverage move. Now, you could possibly have Protect on here as well, but I believe a good player doesn't really need Protect on their Gliscor. This is more of a single set, I will say. I believe you don't really need Protect on Gliscor. If you should be able to swap it in and get that Toxic Orb up and not waste the move slot, in my opinion. So I would say not really to Protect, unless you really want to make triply sure you get your Toxic or Toxic status up first before you go for Facade. You could do that, but I prefer... Honestly, I prefer having Sword Dance and 3 attacking moves rather than just, like, say, Earthquake and Facade, right? I think it limits you a little bit too much, for example. But, take that as you will. So we've got Toxic Orb as the item here, and it's just going to be working as the best item on a Poison Heal set. Now, as for the EV spread, we've got Max Attack and Max Speed Jolly Nature. So we want to, maximize its speed because we are already going to be boosting its attack up. Now, this is definitely more of a sweeping set, compared to, like, a defensive set. So I feel like you need that extra bit of boost there too in attack and speed to make this actually hit hard. As for Terra type, now I've got Terra type normal here. Gliscor can run a variety of good Terra types. Now I'm going to list all of the ones that I feel are probably the best for it. So I would say for this set, I quite like Terra normal. Another one you can do that doesn't really affect the moves you're using, but more the fact that you're 4 times weak to ice, is Water. So I'd say Water is probably one of the best ones, because when an ice type move gets aimed at Gliscor, it's going to faint, right? Even a physical one, it's going to take ginormous amounts of damage. And being a ground type as well, it shares a water type weakness. So Water... Terra type Water covers both of those weaknesses. So I feel like that's the best Terra type that you want to like transform into if you don't want to boost a move. Which also begs the question that you could probably run Terra Blast Water on there as well as another coverage move if you want that type of thing. So if you want to have a Terra type that just sort of gives you covers your immunities, but you don't want a move for it, probably put Knockoff on there. If you want something to benefit that Terra type, put Terra Blast on there. That would be my advice. Another move you could put on there too, that's probably even better than Terra Blast, that's more powerful, at the cost of a little bit of accuracy, is Crab Hammer. So Crab Hammer's got 100 base power. It's a powerful move. It does have 90% accuracy and, it depends what you want. But if you want that Crab Hammer water, that's going to hit pretty hard, you know. So it's going to be quite nice, and it's going to give you a lot of a lot of physical offense and presence about it, especially having a chance to crit too. So that's a way you can run it. If you want to run like super safe, you never want to miss, just go Terra Blast. But yeah, you got the option of Crab Hammer as well, if you want to like have a beneficial move for your Terra type. If you just want something that's like, well, I want to be able to live an ice move, aim my way, or a water type move, so I can set my Sword Dance up and not get one-shotted and stuff like that, then go for that too. That's another option. Some more Terra type options for Gliscor. I like normal, I like water. I also like Steel on it. Steel's quite good because obviously being 4 times weak to ice, you can have that there as just a straight up Terra, not very effective ice move, hits you, and then you can proceed to sweep and stuff like that. So that's another one you can have. I would say Water, Steel, and Normal are the best Terras on Gliscor. Another one you could, for argument's sake, you could give it its stab on ground as well if you want like more of a powerful Earthquake. The only thing I don't like about that is it still shares the water and ice weakness. So if you get outsped, yeah, you're probably still going to get wrecked, especially if it's a special move, because its special defense is not very good. So that would be my Terras there, or my Terra types that I'd be using for sure. Now, I have to say something here. Gliscor's actually lost Roost. It used to get Roost in the past, but now it doesn't have it anymore. And it doesn't have Defog either, so like, you can use Roost and Sword Dance on, say, for example, let's say you had like more of a defensive set. Argument, say you had like, maybe you could build this Sword Dance set as a defensive wall. We go to 44 there and dump the rest of the special man. So that's sort of, you could build it that way if you want to as well. If you want like a defensive Sword Dance user, and maybe you could put on Tailwind or something like that. That could also work, or Agility. That's another option. So that's something you could go for, like a very defensive set. So you could, but the thing I don't like about that so much is you don't have Roost anymore. So that's why I'd probably go for more a physical attacking, straight sweeping set there with Jolly Nature, like I showed off before there. So yeah, that's how I'd probably go about running a sweeping set. So let's have a look now at a more utility and support style set here. This learns lots of cool moves, because now it actually gets Toxic Spikes, which is really, really cool. So we've got so many options here if you want to run a support set. So this can apply to singles and to doubles as well. Not so much, Stealth Rock and those sort of things, but it can run very, very nicely on a defensive set. So this set's more geared towards singles. So sort of take your pick what you want on your team. Obviously, you're probably not going to be running Spikes, Toxic Spikes, and Stealth Rocket all on one Gliscor. I mean, you could, but I feel like you'd probably want one more coverage removal there, or maybe possibly something like Knock Off as a, in case any Flying or Levitate Pokemon come in, or U-Turn or something like that. But that's, sort of hearsay. So we've got Spikes, Toxic Spikes, and Stealth Rock, depending on what you like. I'd be more inclined to go for Spikes and Stealth Rock, and Toxic Spikes isn't a new thing, but you could have, I'd probably put Toxic on there. That would be more viable in case, the opponent has a poison type and they swap it in and get rid of your Toxic Spikes. I feel like you'll get more out of your Gliscor that way. So that's probably what I would go for. I know you've only got Earthquake as an attacking move, but most of the time you want to be putting them Spikes on the field, Stealth Rock on the field, and spreading a bit of Toxic. That's pretty much it. And say you got a bad matchup where you just swap out. Alternatively, if you've already got a Stealth Rock Pokemon, you could put U-Turn on there as well for a bit of momentum. Another one you could have on there is Knock Off. That's just getting rid of items. Bit of coverage. That's another option too. I've given it Toxic Orb and Poison Heal because it just works. Another one, you could have Protect on here too. That would probably work a little bit. It would work a little bit better than the sweeping set in my opinion, because at least you can stall then. So you've got Toxic Stall. So that definitely would be better in my opinion compared to, like, say, a Sword Dance sweeping set that we went over before. definitely would work on there. So yeah, that's how I would run a sort of a singles style, like a utility or support style Gliscor for sure. As for Terra types, I've gone Terra Water on this. I feel like that's the best Terra for this style of set. Just because Ice Beam, Surf, you know, those sort of moves, you know, Scald, anything like that, Waterfall, Ice Punch, Ice Shard, you know how it is, right? So that's going to be the best Terra, I believe. And that'll give you a Gliscor like much more longevity as well, so it won't feign in one shot to especially an ice move. So that's how I go about running more of a utility support style set. It does get other stuff like Tailwind and things like that. It gets so many great support moves. I noticed it didn't have Defog anymore, and Roost, so that could potentially hurt it a little bit in my opinion, because like having Roost was actually quite a big thing. Like I feel like the trade-off to that and Toxic Spikes, I'd rather have Roost, but that's how it is. Let's have a look at more of a doubles and VGC style sort of sets and discuss this a little bit. I'm also going to have a couple of teammates and stuff to discuss too. So with Gliscor, how I was talking about more of a defensive set, I believe that's going to work best in doubles too. You could go for more of a sweeping set, and I might do a sweeping set as well in a sec, but let's have a look at this one. So we've got Toxic Orb and Poison Eel, obviously, as our standard ability and item there. We've got Protect. Protect is great in doubles. It's going to, not only it's going to activate your ability, you'd also play mind games to the opponent too when they see a Gliscor. Think, oh, you're probably just going to use Protect to get the Toxic Orb up, and you could set a Tailwind up, or you could go for High Horsepower. So High Horsepower, I've given it here. That, in my opinion, that's going to be better than Earthquake. You know, more of a singular target. It's going to do, more damage. Plus, you don't have to worry about hitting your ally and stuff like that. We've got Tailwind. It's going to be a nice Tailwind support here. We've got Facade and High Horsepower as our main attacking moves here. Just so I'm able to get some sort of damage off. Its main role is to set the Tailwind up. And you could, you could run this with a lot of different Pokemon. The EVs, I've said already, it's like same sort of thing. So we've got 244 in health, and we got defense of 252 EVs and Impish, and dump the last 12 into special defense. And I feel this will give you your best, well-rounded defensive wall sort of Gliscor set. Now, a couple of other Pokemon I would run alongside this, especially, let's say, in doubles for a sec. I'm just going to make up, let's just do this on the spot. So, a couple of Pokemon, I would say, I reckon Chi-Yu would be pretty good. So, Chi-Yu is going to sort of handle those ice types at least. That's going to be quite good. Another one you could run on there would be Amoonguss would be a good partner as well. Amoonguss isn't a bad partner alongside Gliscor. Another one you could have there, I'd say Milotic. That'd be quite a good one as well. I actually have to do a guide on Milotic very soon. And I may even do a Milotic guide tonight as well. After this, we'll see how I'm going. But Milotic's a good one because, for obvious reasons, you know, you can sponge all those water and ice moves there, and it makes good support alongside Gliscor too. Another one you could run alongside that too is any sort of, I think any electric Pokemon would be quite good too. I was thinking you could do some fun shenanigans with, like, we've got, where are we? We've got Wind, yeah, we got sort of, you know, you got some Wind Rider, like Kilowattrel, sorry, Wind Power, so you might be able to run something alongside that. This might be a bad, not a bad partner, right, because you've got those water Pokemon. You could come in and easily hit them with electric type moves. Could be good. And you've also got like another cool one you could have alongside it. Could be Ramblghast too, because you could activate its Wind Rider. So that could be kind of interesting too, to have them sort of set up together. And they would all work really, really well with those abilities. So there's a couple of partners and ideas and stuff like that for you. Now, as for like counters to Gliscor, I would say any ice types. There's a lot of ice types that are probably going to give it like when you look at stuff like, you know, you got Ninetales, Alola, you got Baxcalibur, you know, Calyrex, Chien, Power, Iron. Like Iron Bundle is yeah, there's a ton of Ice-type Pokemon. That's why, as mentioned before, you know, like, if you have that Terra Water, it's going to be quite good at getting around that. The only one that's going to cause you a fair bit of trouble if you do have, I know it's more situational, but if there's an Iron Bundle with Freeze Dry, that's going to be like your worst nightmare ever. So just be aware of that one for sure. If you're running Terra Water, that completely destroys you. But there's a lot of other ones out there. I'm trying to think of some new Pokemon that came. How about Manaphy would be very bad as well. Manaphy gets, you know, water and strong water and ice moves and can set up Tail Glow. And that's going to be very, very bad for you as well. And I'm trying to think of some other good one. Any real defensive walls as well are going to cause you a lot of trouble, like Corviknight. That's going to make a sweeping Gliscor's life misery, pretty much. Unless you've got some sort of terror, like Terra Fire, or you've got a ginormous amount of Sword Dances up, or you're rocking that Crab Hammer that I was talking about before, but that's going to be a Skarmory. There's another, you know, there's a lot of counters to Gliscor. It's not super duper hard to counter. Now, as for doubles on a more like offensive set, let's have a look at that, because I've got a couple of ideas here. So I was thinking Rock Slide could be kind of cool on more of a sweeping one. I'm just going to make this up right now on the spot. So, of course, with flinching Pokemon, it's still not, I know that it's not super fast, but it could be fast enough to try and get some flinches going here. So, Hyper Cutter is a little bit more of a gimmicky option, especially for doubles, but I know I love having Poison Heal on there and just having Toxicop. It just works, you know, and it gives you the option to have Facade too. And it also stops anyone like burning you and, you know, statusing you, which is going to be very, very good. So you've got that going. You got Tailwind as well. So Tailwind is very good. So if you got Tailwind on that, you could probably opt for like Adamant, and nothing is going to outspeed you basically after that. You could even pull the EVs right back, and you could even pull the EVs right back and just do something like that. And not many things are going to outspeed you. So you get 244 in health and 12. If you're worried about real speedy Choice Scarf Pokemon, then by all means put more speed in. But yeah, you've got Rock Slide. Rock Slide would be spammable. The only thing is you'd have to watch out for like water type moves, because you'd still be like you'd still be weak to that if you had like Terra. Let's say Terra Rock, for example. The only thing you have to worry about then would be like I'd say Steel types, but you could put High Horsepower or Earthquake on there. You could partner. You could either High Horsepower or Earthquake if you partnered yourself with another flying Pokemon, a levitating Pokemon, something like that. But that's another way you could run it. And I can see that definitely working. That would be really annoying getting hit by Rock Slide and a 30% chance of flinch as well. So that's more of an offensive set for sure that you could absolutely give a try. So let's have a look now at some of my other Gliscor sets here. There's quite a few to cover because Gliscor's a very versatile Pokemon. This is more of a Pimp Night special, so we've got a Sandvale set, so obviously run this with Hippowdon or Tyranitar because we want to have the Sandvale activated. Now, it actually gets Scale Shot, which is really cool, and it also gets Acrobatics, which is actually quite a nice move on Gliscor and very powerful once your item is gone. So I thought, how could I make Gliscor speedier and hit hard with Acrobatics? So I thought I could go for Scale Shot here. Now, Scale Shot is going to hit 2 to 5 times, and it's going to drop your defense, and it's going to give you a +1 in speed, which will then activate White Herb. And that's going to get rid of your -1 in defense, and then Acrobatics will be double base power. So that's going to give you that. Or if you don't want that, you could have Agility on there. I just like the fact of having Scale Shot, you do a little bit of damage, increase your speed, or if you need to increase your speed again, you can. And then White Herb sort of activates and allows you to go for, very, very powerful move there, 110 base power. Now, the other move I've got on there is Sword Dance, so you could potentially go Sword Dance, then Scale Shot. And then you've got Earthquake as well, and Acrobatics. Now, I've got Terra Growl on this. You could also go Terra Flying if you want more out of that Acrobatics. That's absolutely another option you go for. And once you're flying, then if any rock types come in and the steel types and stuff like that, you've got Earthquake to hit them for some coverage and things like that too. So I could definitely see that working. Alternatively, if you don't want to do Scale Shot, if you feel like, well, that's too gimmicky, you could have something like Agility. That's another way to increase your speed, and then you could just dump a little bit more into health there and, ease off the speed EVs depending on what your team would be. And then you could give it, you could be evil and give it like Bright Powder if you are running the Sand Veil set, so agility. Yeah, and that's that sort of thing there. So you give like a full-on agility and sword dance set. And, with Sand Veil, you could potentially get a couple of swords. You could get these moves up there, because you've got the extra evasion from that, and Bright Powder stacks on. It doesn't stack on a lot, but it can allow you. It's more of a gimmicky sort of moveset there, but potentially has some, very good chances sweeping your opponent if you get a couple of misses. But that's another sort of more, I'd say that's probably geared around singles a little bit more. So I also want to mention this has quite a few critting moves, and you could actually have a fun critting set on this Gliscor. So we've got Crab Hammer, which is great, a nice critting move. I've got Terra Water, so that's spammable with Scope Lens. So I've given this Hyper Cutter. That way, you could also go Poison Heal in there if you wanted as well. The only thing is, I was thinking you could either run this in Sand, and then you wouldn't have to worry about, getting those initial. Maybe if you want to put Sword Dance on there, you could maybe drop Dual Wing Beat, or if you wanted to put Poison Heal on there, if the opponent did poison you or something like that, or you somehow got poisoned, it wouldn't affect you. Hypercut is pretty much only going to be... It's not... I know it's not very useful because of you being a critting set. It's just that chance you don't get that crit and the opponent has dropped your attack. At least you're going to be able to do some damage there. I was a little bit stuck on what to give it for an ability. I was like, I'm going to be critting 50% of the time, but if I don't crit and then say someone comes in with Intimidate and then you don't hit as hard. So you might be able to, sort of get that into a Poison Heal set as well. Or just put Poison Heal on there. Or just put Sand Veil on there. I don't know. I felt like Hyper Cutter was still probably better on this set because it's not like you're 100% guaranteed, right? So take that as you will. We got Max Stack and Max Speed Jolly Nature. We got Stone Edge, which is obviously a nice high base power move, critting chance. Dual Wing Beat doesn't have a crit chance, but it does hit twice. So you might be able to get one crit off there. And we've got Earthquake as well, just for coverage too. So you're sort of looking at these ones as your critting moves, and these ones as your stab moves there. Terra-type Water, Terra-type Flying, Terra-type Ground, Terra-type Rock. All those sort of things are going to be useful there. So that's pretty much it for Gliscor. Let's do a meme set as well. I'll do a Pimp Night special. Let's have a look at its special move pool. I like to look at everything, and then we'll have a look at Gligar. This is probably going to be a little bit of a longer video because I'm discussing two Pokemon. Oh, wow. So that's, ooh. I've just thought of something real cool. So I noticed it's got Venoshock. I can't turn away from Venoshock. I have to do this. So we're going to have a Venoshock Gliscor, and we're also going to have Terra Poison. Let's do that. So Terra Poison. Oh, wow. So I'm trying to think what this would be good for. I'd probably put Sand Veil on that. That's going to be probably the most useful thing. We've got Earth Power. We've got Venoshock, and we have Dark Pulse. So that's going to be about it for this moveset. So we want sort of like another Pokemon to set Toxic Spikes up. How about we go? Oh, this is perfect. There we go. It's a true Pimp Night special here. So we've got Red Card, and we've got Toxic Spikes. So layer Toxic Spikes down. Survive a hit. Red Card activate. Swap them out, and then you've got the Toxic Spikes going. So then we've got Toxic Spikes and we've got Venoshock. So we've got some really, really good quality stuff here. I'd probably put on Modest because its special attack is 45. And yeah, you can fire away with some Venoshocks at double base power, Terra Poison. And yeah, we've got Earth Power for any Steel types and Dark Pulse for a little bit of coverage there. And Toxic Spikes. I don't think it has any way to boost its special attack at all. Yeah, it doesn't. As expected there, but yeah, that's a Pimp Night special there for you if you want to give a good gimmicky sort of set. It also gets Mud Slap as well. I don't know why you'd want to do that for, but you could use that as a troll set. And yeah, there you go. You got some amazing options there on this special side. One more thing I'd like to mention on Gliscor before we get to Gligar it does have this potential, depending on what sort of rule set you want to play. I don't want to overlook mentioning Baton Pass either, because it has Baton Pass and Sword Dance, which could be very, very handy, as well as Sub as well. So, take that one as you will. That could definitely work for sure. And you could just give it Earthquake as well, so it can do something. So you could have that as a Sub Passer. Absolutely. And I'd probably have like... Ooh, I'd probably gear this like a speedy one, so you get your Sword Dance up and then your Baton Pass off quicker. There you go. So you can have that as a pure Baton Passer, so passing on Sword Dance or a Sub. And let's say if you get caught between a rock and a hard place, you can at least use the Earthquake still. And I don't know if I'd even Terror that. So there you go. That's another way you could use Gliscor for sure. All right, let's have a look now at Gligar. So, unfortunately, Gligar is a very, very nice Everlight Pokemon. Unfortunately, it lost Roost, which I think is going to affect it a fair bit in terms of it being used and people using it. But I still want to show a couple of sets off for it. So this is a Pipnight Specialia. I used to use this set back in the day, and it's annoying as heck. Unfortunately, now it's not quite as good with Roost. So I've got Terra type still, of course, due to its ground and flying. As for its abilities, it is a little bit different. It doesn't get Poison Heal, but it gets Immunity, which is going to be quite good for a Pokemon like this. So it can't be poisoned, so it's going to be quite good. It's a stalling set, as you can see. So we've got Toxic and Protect, and we've got Sand Tomb as well. So Sand Tomb is going to trap the target in for 4 to 5 turns. So you're trapping them in. You've got the Toxic on them, so it's going to do a lot of damage. Plus you've got Protect, so you can just use Protect. Toxic is going to rack up and do a lot of damage as a Sand Tomb, and they can't swap out. So that's quite a nasty little combination. And if you swap it into more of a physical Pokemon that can't do a lot of damage to you can rest off there and get your health back. So that's definitely another way of using Gligar. I would have loved to have Roost on there. Unfortunately, it doesn't have it anymore. So that's a little bit of a pain there for sure. Another way you could use this, I've just given it defense and health and impish nature. Works well around the board. I don't think you'd really want to run it any other way. Unless you wanted to put a little bit more into special defense. That's about it. Maybe you'd want to knock it back. I'm trying to think what you could do here. I'd knock a little bit into special defense there. That's about it. I probably wouldn't change its defensive bulk up too much more than that. This is more geared towards singles. I don't think many people are going to use Gligar in doubles, but I'll think of a double set in a second. Let's have a look at some other moves you could put on this as more support. I'd give it Earthquake. Let's get rid of a couple of other moves here. So, Earthquake as a little bit more of a hard-hitting move. Knockoff as more of a support move. You could have Stealth Rock or Spikes on there. That could work too. Stealth Rock, Spikes. Whatever you want, that could work. You could have U-Turn on there as well for some momentum. I'd put Toxic. I'd still keep Toxic on there. I think I'd always keep Toxic on there. I think that's just very, very handy. So you can do a couple of things. Does it get Tailwind? Yeah, it gets Tailwind. That could work in doubles. More so in doubles, not so much in singles, in my opinion. Tailwind is better in doubles. And you've also got... it doesn't get Defog either. It used to get Defog, which is quite handy. It doesn't have that anymore. So yeah, that's how I'd probably go about running it. In doubles, I'd still run the defensive like this. I probably wouldn't change that around. I'd keep it Terra Steel, and you've got Immunity, so I'd probably have... Gee, I might even be inclined to give it Bulldoze for more support style, and I'd give it... Let's say... Just having a look here, so unfortunately it doesn't get anything like... I was hoping we'd get something like Helping. So let's go Bulldoze and Tailwind for more support. And we could give it, I would say, it's a little bit slow for doubles for Toxic, so I would just give it like a move you could have, like maybe Knockoff. Knockoff could work. It's difficult because Roost was actually quite good on it. And then you've got like a couple of other things here, like you've got High Horsepower, which could work and stuff like that too. There's not a hell of a lot that actually can get beside that. Yeah, I'd go High Horsepower. At least then you've got something to go for. You've got knockoff and high horsepower, and you've got bulldoze as well. You could make your choice between those two moves. I'd be inclined maybe to have bulldoze because they're going to be more handy. So let's say you've got bulldoze, tailwind, knockoff. Let's go for another status move. I'd possibly put protect on there. I would probably put protect on there. It's a shame it doesn't get helping hand because that'd be quite good. So more of a defensive wall there and some support style moves. I don't know how much Gligar it would be potentially used in doubles. I'd probably use Gliscor instead of that. But yeah, that's another way you could actually use Gligar. Now let's have a final look at all the moves that Gliscor indeed does get and some final thoughts here. So as for its status moves, we've gone over agility and baton pass. We've looked at protect already. Protect's quite a standard move on it. I think it's better for doubles in my opinion, or more of a support style set. We've got rest and steam talk. You could use that over. You might see a little bit more of that because people don't have roost to fall back on. You got a lot of great utility moves like Spike, Stealth Rot. We've gone over Sub and Sword Dance, Tailwind, Taunt. It could be a fast taunting Pokemon too. I think it has the potential for that. The problem is I don't think you're going to be able to fit it in there. There's going to be better moves. Of course, Toxic gets Toxic Spikes now, which is quite good. And yeah, nothing to crush up there. I have some physical moves. We've gone over most of these here. Acrobatics. Doesn't really have the greatest fighting moves here. It has a lot of like elemental fang moves and other stuff like that, but they just don't really do a lot of damage if you're using that on like a physical set. We've gone over most of these moves here, and then there's nothing really else notable I would probably be giving it. It does get Air Oasis as a flying move, but I don't know, like Dual Wing Beat is probably better. Air Oasis checks actually, so if you want to put that on there, if you can somehow squeeze that on. And yeah, that's I think that's gonna be it for Gligar. I think I've done a pretty good job explaining that. Sorry, Gliscor and Gligar. That's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed the Gliscor and Gligar build. If you got anything to add there, I'm sure there's a few more things if you want to add. What terrors you use, what movesets and stuff. I'm sure they'll be pretty similar to the ones that I've said. And yeah, hope this was helpful and help you think about what you want to do when you use Gliscor. If you enjoyed it, if it helped you out, drop a like on the video. If there's a Pokemon you'd like to see me cover too, put it below. I'm trying to get to the ones that I see pop up the most across my moveset guides. And if you're wondering if I've done a moveset guide, there's a playlist for this already, so you can check it out and stuff like that. I've covered probably 100 plus Pokemon already, but yeah, there might possibly another guide later on. We'll see. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this Gliscor and Gligar guide. Peace out.